Good afternoon, everyone. The Code Enforcement Board is called to order. Do we have Michelle or Bobby with us today?
You have me, Ms.
Thank you. Would you call the roll, please?
Yeah. Chair Wade?
Present.
We're good. Vice Chair Archer? Ms. Archer?
I do not see her on the call.
Okay. Mr. Kramer? I see him. Mr. Robinson?
Here.
Ms. Norfleet?
Present.
Ms. Tellier?
Here.
Alderman Mr. Perfidio?
Here.
And Mr. Stamus?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Trask, are you with us today?
I am.
Would you please give the invocation and lead the board in the pledge?
I'd be happy to. Our Heavenly Father, we speak blessings on the tasks before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. We pray that our work this afternoon will find favor in your sight. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll read the procedures for the board out loud. It is the intention of this board to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Tarpon Springs by providing an equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing various codes within the city of Tarpon Springs. Any aggrieved party may appeal a final administrative order to this board to the circuit court. Such appeal shall be filed within 30 days of the execution of the order to be appealed. Florida Statute 286.0105 requires any party appealing a decision of this board to have a record of the proceedings to support such an appeal. This procedure of this board is as follows. First, the city presents its witnesses and exhibits, after which the alleged violator is able to ask the city's witnesses any specific questions regarding their testimony. Secondly, the alleged violator is allowed to make a presentation and present his or her witnesses and exhibits. Then the city can question the alleged violator's witnesses. After both rounds of testimony, both on the part of the city and on the part of the alleged violator, each party is asked to give a closing argument, first by the city and then by the alleged violator. After those three steps are taken, this board will close the public hearing portion of the case to discuss it and take appropriate action. Before we begin the public hearings, normally we would swear everyone in, but Mr. Trask will help me remember to swear everyone in as their case is heard because we can't see you all at this time. But we would like everybody to please turn their cell phones off because they create a distraction during the meeting. Thank you very much. First agenda. Beth, are there any changes to the agenda that we need to make note of?
There's a few cases that have been deferred and a few that are now in compliance, but we'll let you know as we go through them which ones are changed.
Thank you very much. The first case is parcel 062716 00002100100. It's case number 19-80000876, Frederick and Jane McClemens. Is there anyone present for this agenda item?
If you are here for this agenda item, please raise your hand.
This is to be established.
And I do not have any raised hands at this time.
Alrighty, then we will ask the city to present their evidence.
I need
Thank
to
you.
go ahead and swear in Officer Gasson.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
I see that you raised your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, case before the board 19-800000876. This is a property, it's two parcels to an area that was formerly known as the Deranged Golf Course on the north side of the city off of US 19 on the west side of the road. There are no prior cases for this property. As you stated, the parcel number is 062716000021000100. That large piece of property is actually two parcels. This is going to be the northern and easternmost parcel of that large acreage up there. Exhibit number 1 going before the board are all my photographs. And if you'd like, I can put the photographs up now.
Please.
Share my screen now. Okay.
That would be helpful, and we'll have the clerk mark them into evidence.
All right, and I'll keep talking as we go through this. So all of the photographs are exhibit number 1. All of my notices, including my notice of violation and notice of hearing, are exhibit 2. Exhibit 3 are my administrative documents, case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. And exhibit number 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All the photographs well, there were nobody here for the violator. All my notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent, return receipt requested, as well as first class mail. And Madam Chair, please accept these into the record as evidence.
Yes.
Okay,
Mr.
so
Nusses, please.
we have had contact with the property manager, Mr. McAndrew. My case originally started on December 9th of 2019. I went out and assisted patrol. They had trespassers on the property. At the time, there was a large camp set up. That's what this first picture is depicting, is the camp. There was a large amount of debris, human waste, holes in the fencing, Brazilian pepper trees on the property. That's kind of what some of this is depicting here. Although some of these pictures were taken later, it's the continuation of the original inspection. This was originally what I was presented with. And same thing with this particular picture that I have on the screen. Moving forward, we sent the notice of violation on the same date, December 9th, 2019. None of it was returned to us. On December 31st, I conducted a reinspection. I met with the representatives of the property owner and we walked the property. He advised at the time they were putting a plan in place to clean the property up and provide trespass authorizations to the police department. On March 19th, we sent a final notice of violation because the property was not yet in compliance. On May 26th of 2020, I conducted a reinspection. They had cleaned up some of it, had some of the structures removed, but there were still debris on the site. The property was still overgrown, so it still was not yet in compliance. And I believe these are getting us up to the most current. That was in May. And let me know whenever you want me to stop sharing and we'll go back to the my face. On July 16th, I conducted another reinspection. The fence had not been repaired at the time. The fence that's in question, I don't have any good pictures of it, runs along the north side of it. It's in between a business complex and this property, and it had been cut wide open. The Brazilian pepper trees had destroyed it by growing through it. And there was a large amount of people trespassing onto the property through the broken holes in the fence. At the time, like I said, the fence had not been repaired. The pepper trees are still on the property and there was still trash and debris on the property. On July 14th of 2020, we sent an email, reminded them they're still open violations. On August 7th, we asked for confirmation of receipt of the email, see if the property owner would respond to us. They kind of ghosted us a little bit at that point. Then on September 1st, I conducted another reinspection. That are these pictures that I have on the screen. So this is showing the overgrowth on the property. You can see down here, this would be the debris. This is the fence line that I'm referring to up to the north side of the property that had not been repaired. And then back in this area back here. So it was still an issue on September 1st. On November 3rd, the notice of hearing was mailed. We also did not receive any mail back from that. On September 18th, we posted the property and I signed the affidavit. And then I did conduct a final inspection a couple of days ago or yesterday on October 7th of this year, and it was brought into compliance. So at this point in time, the property is in compliance, but coupled with the fact that the adjoining property is currently in fine status and it's the same property owner, we are requesting the board establish this property due to the fact that, you know, the history with the other property as well. So, but it is currently in compliance with the violations of 8-22, accumulation of trash, 8-40, which is the duty to maintain private property, 8-52, which is the nuisance prohibitions, 36.03, fences, walls, and hedges, and 133.03, which is the Brazilian pepper aspect. The interesting thing about this is there's no structure on it. If some of you remember, the Durange Golf Course used to be on it. So it had a certificate of occupancy issued to that property. It was partially destroyed in a fire, and then they got rid of the rest of the structures related to that. That's the reason why the Brazilian pepper requirement is there, because it did have a certificate of occupancy. So they still need to make sure that there's no peppers on that property. At this point, like I said, they did get it in compliance. They completely mowed it, cleared it off. Unfortunately, I'm kind of anticipating that it'll fall into violation again. So as I stated, the city would like to ask that the board establish the property. And at this point, the city has nothing further.
I know I have a few questions, and then I'll ask if other board members do. Can you explain to me why this is not a repeat violator? Because I know we saw this property before, because it's two separate properties.
It was started before they went to code.
Yeah, this case started before the other one went to code board. So, and in all honesty, I didn't realize that it was one parcel, or I'm sorry, that it was two parcels. We had the original case on the southern part of it. And it wasn't until a little later on that we discovered in the office that there was actually a smaller parcel associated with the northern side. But coupled with the fact that the board had not yet heard that other case yet. So they were not running simultaneously.
Has the fence been repaired?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
And they have to keep this property mowed because it was once cleared, correct?
Correct. And they chose to mow the whole property, so they now need to keep it that way.
Yes, thank you. Does anyone else from the board have questions for Officer Gasson? If no one else has any questions, would you like to summarize your case?
I think I've covered everything. Thank you.
Okay. The public portion of the case is now closed. Board, I'm ready to entertain a motion.
I move, based on the testimony and the evidence, facts presented in the law, that at the time of the alleged violation, sections 8-22, 8-40, 8-52, 36.03, and 133.03 of the Code and Ordinances, the City of Tarpon Spring was in full force and effect. At the time of the notice of violation, the respondents were in violation of said codes sections. However, they are now in compliance.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Michelle, would you like to call the roll, please?
Ms. Tellier?
Yes.
Ms. Fleet?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer? Mr. Kramer? If you agree, just give me a thumbs up. Okay. Vice Chair Archer? And Chair Wade?
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Mr. Trask, do you need to summarize this one?
No, I don't think so, since there's no one here.
Okay. Next case, item number 2 on your agenda, 19-80000877, 1845 South Pinellas Avenue, owned by 1845 Pinellas LLC. Is there anyone here for that case?
We do have a raised hand.
We'll need to swear them in.
They've been unmuted.
Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yes, please identify yourself and tell us what's your relationship to the owner of the property.
My name is Anthony Trigiano, and I am a manager of this property along with my brother, who's not here right now, just me.
Okay, sir, if you could raise your right hand, I'm going to swear you under oath.
Go ahead.
You have your right hand raised?
Yes,
You swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. If you can just hang on, the city's going to make its presentation, and then you'll have an opportunity.
Okay.
Do you have any objection to the city presenting their evidence?
No, go ahead.
Thank you. Officer Gasson?
Thank you, Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department. Code enforcement case before the board is 19-800000877. The property address is 1845 South Pinellas Avenue. The property is owned by 1845 Pinellas LLC. Exhibit number 1 going before the board are the photographs. Exhibit 2 are all my notices to include notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3, administrative documents, including the case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. Exhibit number 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All the photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator are exact copies of what's being presented to the board. All the notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County property appraiser and tax collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent return receipt as well as first class. And Madam Chair, please accept these exhibits into the record as evidence.
Thank you, Michelle. Please do so.
This case started December 12th of 2019. We've had extensive contact with the owner, and they've been very cooperative as far as it goes. Originally, we got a complaint about no dumpster enclosure on the property. In addition, there were other issues with the septic system and the sewer hookups. The Department of Health received a request to repair a septic system, which required mandatory connection to the city sewer due to a failing septic tank on the property. Additionally, required to connect to city water due to an inappropriate setback requirements of the failing septic system. On December 12th of 2019, the notice of violation was mailed, and we did get a green card back signed from the property owner. On January 27th, we had a phone call from the property owner. They're working on their survey and getting engineering work done for a lift station and the requirements that are necessary to can do their connections. On August 26th of 2019, I'm sorry, August 26th of 2020, the building department, I guess the grinder pump permit was approved and they began the work. The utility availability statement had been completed, but nothing had been done to apply to the hookup of the city water as of yet. We took care of the dumpster. That's no longer an issue, so the dumpster's been taken care of in this process. The mandatory connections to water and sewer have not yet been completed as of August 26th. At that point, the notice of hearing was mailed and the green card was signed by the registered agent. Conducted, as I stated, we did another reinspection a day later, and that's when we signed off on the dumpster enclosure being taken care of. On August 31st, permit number 20-2182 for the site work, the infrastructure of the utilities was issued. We deferred the case back in September from the September code board to this code board just to give them some more time to complete some of the work. On September 10th, the reinspection was conducted, and as I stated, the gate on the enclosure was taken care of. We received an email on September 18th that the water line's causing them some issues per the contractor, and it goes into some of those issues. The long and short of it is they needed some more time, but we kind of been stretching this out. So we're at a point now where we're close to being able to finalize it. And, but the work had not yet been done. As of October 7th, the water and sewer connections had not yet been completed. So we're primarily bringing this case before the board so that we can get a definitive timeline and kind of get this process done. This is a main area of Southern Pinellas Avenue or alternate US 19. And, you know, a failing septic system for over a year it is a mobile home park. I can't remember exactly how many units they have, but I know there's, I think 3 or 4. All needing to be connected to water and sewer. So before the board at this time is violations of City Code 20-22, which are mandatory connections to the potable water system, as well as the sewer. And that's all the city has at this point. And I can show you some photographs, but they're primarily of the top of a septic tank and some holes in the ground.
Does the board have any questions of Officer Gasson? Seeing none, does the owner have any just questions? You'll get a chance to present your case. Do you have any questions for the city staff?
No, not at this time.
Alrighty. Then now you get to present your case. You've been sworn in.
Okay. Well, thank you first for having the opportunity to present my case. I'm getting reverb back from, oh, I think it's gone. And I just want to say that, you know, even though this situation is unfortunate, you know, Officer Gasson and Beth at Code Enforcement have both been like a pleasure to work with under the circumstance. So I just want to say that they're really great. Okay. So a couple things. Yes, the septic tank was failing over a year, but we were on top of it, of getting it pumped out, making sure everything was good to go. And the property isn't it's not a mobile home park. It's a multi-use, because there is a 1,740 square foot building on there. So it's not just a mobile home park, but so okay. So let's do the lift station first. The lift station is almost done. As everyone is aware that, you know, when you have a project of this magnitude, there are certain steps, and you have to wait for this person and wait for that inspector and wait. So what I did was, and the initial problem we had was actually finding somebody to do this project. We did start, you know, getting all the surveys and everything done, but to find a company to actually do it, which proved difficult. So yesterday I had the lady from the construction company doing the lift station and also the water line. I had her send me an email as an update. And if it's okay, can I read that to you now?
Yes,
okay.
That's relevant.
Yes. Okay. It says Eclipse has installed / set the package lift station in place. This includes the installation of the concrete encased ballast and the lift station from we have installed the force main from the outside of the lift station up to the property, turned and went across the road to the tie-in point. The county will be performing the hot tap this week. After the hot tap, we will test the force main, which will allow us then to set the pumps and hook up the power. We have installed the conduit on the interior of the building for the electrical. We just got the electrical permit, I guess, on the 6th, I want to say. And it says we will be calling for a rough and electrical inspection soon. They are continuing inspection and turning on the permit power. So as you can see, we're in the final stages of the lift station. So it will be done. When I spoke to the guy to the gentleman that was on site, who's doing the work, he goes, I would say by the middle of next week, maybe like around the 15th. So we're not very far off to actually getting that done. Now the water is a different issue, and the water is not a big deal. However, they said that they would have to cut a 12-inch by 25-foot route through my parking lot, unless I was able to get the next door neighbor's approval, and then we can just, they have a shovel and you could put it right in the dirt because they have dirt. We are actually under contract to buy that property, and we were planning on closing as soon as the 15th. So what I would ask is, and actually I asked Beth, but she said it's better to bring it up and ask the council, is can we get an extension on the water? Not because we don't want to do it or anything, but because of it would be a lot easier and a lot more cost effective, and it wouldn't tear up my parking lot if we could just wait until after we close on that property, and then just go ahead and run it through the actual, just the ground, just the dirt. And if something happens and it doesn't go through, then we will go ahead and have to do just the parking lot. I mean, I don't see it being a problem as far as closing on that property, because it's a great benefit to us to own it, because then it would be one large piece. But so I guess that's about it.
I'm sure the board, as do I, have several questions. Tell me your name again, please.
My name is Anthony Trigiano.
Okay, Anthony, what businesses are there and what are they doing for water and sewer currently?
Well, currently we're still on well and septic. There is not a business there because we had to evict the last person. So there's only one business there, and then there are two cottages, 3 mobile homes, and then there is apartments for that little 2-story building. I don't know if you guys remember, but it used to be a 2-story building. It used to have a psychic on the bottom. It was white. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's that building, and yeah. So that's what happens now. Those and then we actually just paid impact fees. Well, when we bought the property, we had no idea of all these hidden things that were problems. So we actually just paid your city $32,000 in impact fees on top of the cost of the lift station. So we're not ones to shy away from doing the work, but and I definitely appreciate the patience and the leniency up till now that everyone has given us, because it's needed.
And just because I want to know, what businesses are you trying to attract, or what are you trying to put into the city?
Well, really, any business that would want to that could use that. I remember that Tom's Bicycles or Tom's it was like a bicycle. There used to be a bicycle and a kayak place there for a long period of time, and we actually butt up against the Pinellas Trail, which was why that property was attractive. And the reason why we wanted to purchase the other property is that eventually we do want to develop that into some sort of, I don't know if it's going to be multi-use, where it's some of it is a retail, some of it is apartments on top, or if it's just a small apartment complex. But we want that, because it would be like a great benefit to our portfolio.
And I hate to be a pig, but you said the electrical permit was issued on the 6th, but you didn't say what month.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just the 6th of this month, apparently.
And
yes, I'm sorry.
When is the closing set for that other lot?
The closing is set as of right now on the contract. It's on the 15th. We have been running into like a little bit of a problem with there's 2 buildings on it. We ran into a little bit of an issue with one of the buildings. But if you do grant us, say, hey, yeah, you could do it afterwards, just because it would be easier and cheaper for you. I could tell, because it's the same company that's doing the lift station. I'll tell them, say, hey, listen, we're scheduled to close on the 15th. Can you guys go and start rock and rolling on the 16th? So I wouldn't wait until we close to get the ball rolling. I would say, hey, I would talk to my guy and say, hey, let's get the ball rolling as soon as we close the next day.
The month is November that you're expecting to 10/15 of October, or November?
October. I'm sorry, October the 15th.
Okay. Anyone else have questions?
I have a couple of questions if I can.
Please.
Which property are you buying? The one to the south or the one to the north?
The south, 1811.
Okay. All right. Oh, 1811?
Yes.
I have that parcel is 1845. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is-
ours is 1845. The one to
Okay,
the south
hold
of it
on
is
2
18.
seconds. I just want to look at something really quick.
Sure.
Okay, just, not that it really matters, but just keep this in the back of your head. That's not in the city of Tarpon Springs, just so you know. So make
Yes.
sure you don't have any permitting issues once that's done. That's all I have to, that was just a kind of a question / statement real quick. Because I was just
Thank you.
curious which property you were getting, so. But other than that, I don't have any questions. Well, how much time do you think it's going to take to complete this project? Be done?
It's okay. Well, the lift station, he said it would be done probably next week sometime, like in the middle of next week, or in the middle of the month, which is the middle of next week.
Let's get
As far as the water
inspections
goes,
done.
sorry.
Oh, we were talking about the fact that we, just to final the whole project, including all of the final inspections, what do you think the
Oh,
3
I don't
months
know.
kind of a thing or what?
As far as inspection goes, I don't know that how, you know, the how many steps are into that, but he said he'll be done with the lift station. He goes, hopefully, he goes realistically by the middle of this month. And then as far as the water goes, he led me to believe that if we can go into the grass, that the water won't even take a day, because it's just laying the pipe in, and then the pipe has to go to the back of 1845. It's towards the back of that property. So
Now I'm
not sure.
confused. Now I'm confused. You're trying to get water from Tarpon Springs to go for a building that's not in Tarpon Springs, or the other way around?
No. We're just using the property that's not in Tarpon Springs just to lay that pipe, like right next to our parking lot, instead of having to go through our parking lot.
So whose water is it?
It's city of Tarpon Springs going to the city parcel.
Who signs off on that work?
Who signed off? Who, like the permit you're saying?
Who would sign off on that if it's a pipe laid in another jurisdiction going to, you know, I mean, it seems like that would be kind of a cumbersome thing to get. I mean, easy construction wise, but
I can probably
sure
answer that
everyone-
if you want me to.
yeah, please
Sure.
don't scare me.
It's still all handled. Pinellas County doesn't, if your property is in the unincorporated area, you're still getting city water. So the connection part doesn't matter. It's just, I just wanted to make sure he knew, as a side note, not related to the violations with this case, because it really has nothing to do with it, that
Okay.
just check to make sure he does not need to get a permit to lay that water line or make that connection through it. That was it. It was a side note. Maybe it should have been handled on the side, but I want to make sure he knew that. That's not even a violation that's before this board right now, is a permit issue. It's just the mandatory connection. That's all that the board has right now.
Because the only reason Tarpon Springs only gets paid for the water coming in, not the water going out. So,
Well, it does get, we pay for sewer as well. So
I know, but
so we,
there's no meter on your sewer.
well, no, but when you get the water, that's how they that's how they meter your sewer, is by how much
Yes,
water you're taking
I
in.
understand.
But also we're obviously, if we're going to develop it, we're going to plan on annexing, if possible, that property into Tarpon, which I'm sure Tarpon Springs would love.
All right. Does anyone else on the board have any questions for the owner? Officer Gasson, would you like to summarize?
Yeah, just real quick. The only thing the only violation we have before the board is just his mandatory connections. And once those are completed and they've been signed off on, then he's no longer in violation. So beyond anything else that we kind of went sideways on, and I apologize for some of that, we just need to approach the violation of 20-22, which requires a mandatory connection to sewer and water with the city's utilities. So other than that, the city has nothing further.
So the last two violations listed on our agenda do not really apply yet.
What they do.
136.01 and 02.
I don't see any numbers on mine, so I thought there was only
They do.
one. Okay.
What other violations do you?
Those are kind of incorporated with that. The mandatory connections are connecting to water and connecting to sewer.
Okay, we just want to do
They're
it
just
right. Thank
enumerated
you.
that way. Sorry.
Unless anybody else has a question, the public portion of the case is closed and we'll make entertain a motion. Would anyone like to make a motion? Board?
Obviously, nobody wants to, I guess.
Do it. I got it.
Okay, thanks.
Based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented at law, that at the time of the alleged violation sections 20-22, 136.01,
No.
136.
Only 20-22.
20-22, the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect. The respondent was in violation thereof.
It doesn't matter.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion from the board? Hi, Ms. Archer.
Can I just clarify the section of the violation? Are we including 136.01 and 136.02?
As I understand it, only 20-22.
Officer Gasson?
Yeah, my sheet of paper just didn't have the two numbers on it. It was clarified that 20-22 is the mandatory connection. The particular ordinance of 136.01 requires the connection to city water. 136.02 requires the connection to city sewer. So my apologies earlier, but my sheet was just missing something and I just read it. So it should be all three ordinances.
Oh, it should be?
It should be all three ordinances.
Okay.
And I apologize for that.
Would someone on the board like to amend the initial motion then?
That
Mr.
actually was the initial until you canceled it.
Right. He included the others.
He did not include the others. He
He
needs
did not
to do that
include
now.
the
And so,
Mr.
Mr. Weeks. would
Mr.
need-
Weeks, would you like to rephrase your motion, please?
Sure. I move that based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law, that at the time of the alleged violation, section 20-22, 136.01 and 136.02 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect. The respondent was in violation thereof.
Second.
Ms. Manousis, will you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Tellier?
Yes.
Ms. Barkley?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer? And Chair Wade?
Yes. And I'll have Mr. Trest summarize, but I also want to make sure we didn't make a procedural error with a motion that was held out there and not anything done with it.
Chair Wade, we still have the motion. We have the fine amount.
We haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay.
Right,
Mr.
so the answer to
Trask?
the question is Mr. Weeks has amended his motion and restated it with all three, so we're good to go. So we just need to go to the second portion of the case relating to time for compliance and a fine dollar amount, if that's appropriate.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
The motion has passed, and I'll ask staff for any additional input regarding time. for
Yeah.
compliance.
As far as the fine goes, we'll leave that to the board, but through discussion, we would like to ask for 8 weeks, which put it somewhere in the middle of December. That should give him enough time to complete everything.
Anthony, do you feel comfortable with that, or do you have any input on a compliance date?
I think 8 weeks is very generous, and I think that everything should be done well before that, but that would be a nice time frame.
And I'll need to hear a motion from the board.
So what is the date on it? Can you tell me?
I didn't hear you.
Can you tell me what the date is on 8 weeks?
November 8th. Let's say December 10th.
Okay. Thank you. I move that the respondent shall have until December the 10th to bring the property into compliance with code sections 20-22, 136.01, and 136.02, or suffer a fine of $25 a day for each day thereafter that the respondent remain in violation of said sections.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I would like to request maybe a little higher fine. I think water and sewer are such an important issue that would you consider making it a higher fine, Mr. Weeks?
What is your suggestion?
I was thinking 50.
Okay. I revise it to be $50 per day.
Thank you. Does your second still hold?
Yes.
Thank you. Michelle, would you like to do a roll call for us, please?
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson. Okay. Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
You're on mute.
Mr. Kramer, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Hang on. Yes.
Okay. Vice Chair Archer and Chair Wade.
Yes. Would you like to summarize for him, please, Mr. Trask?
Yes. So, sir, the property owner has been found in violation of the code sections that were cited, which are 20-22, 136.01, 136.02. The Code Enforcement Board has found that violation and given you until December the 10th to bring the property into compliance. Should you fail to bring the property into compliance within that time frame, a $50 a day fine will be assessed until it is brought into compliance. If you don't understand what you need to do to bring the property into compliance, you can contact Code Enforcement Board, or excuse me, Code Enforcement Officer after this meeting.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Anthony.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
The next item on our agenda is listed as number 3, 20-8000023, 645 River Village Drive, Tropical Tile Incorporated, Sure Star Marine Consultants, Inc. Is there anyone here for this agenda item?
If you are here for this agenda item, please raise your hand and you'll be allowed in to talk. And we do not have any raised hands at this time.
Thank you. Officer Gasson, would you like to present your case?
Thank you. Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department. The case before the board is 20-800000023.
Officer Gasson, we did have someone raise their hand.
Okay.
Sorry. Would you identify yourself, please? And then we'll need to swear you in.
I'm Michael Gaman. Can you hear me?
Yes. And your relationship to the property, Michael?
I'm the owner of Tropical Tile.
Thank you. Mr. Trask is going to swear you in.
Okay.
Mr. Gamache, if you could raise your right hand. You swear that the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hang on just a moment. The city is going to present its case.
Do you have any objection to the city presenting their evidence?
No.
Thank you. Go ahead, Officer Gasson. Officer Gasson?
Thank you. Sorry about that. As I stated, Officer Steve Gaston, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department, cases 20-800000023, the address 645 River Village Drive. Tropical Tile Incorporated, Shore Star Marine Consulting Incorporated owns the property. No prior cases on this property, and exhibit number 1 going before the board are my photographs. Exhibit number 2, all the notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3, administrative documents, case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. Exhibit 4, affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. And all the photographs and exhibits are given to the violator, exact copies of what's being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent both return receipt as well as first-class mail. And Madam Chair, please accept all these exhibits into the record as evidence.
Thank you. Michelle, please do so.
We have had contact with the owner via phone call and email. This case started January 28th of 2020. My initial inspection was based on a citizen complaint that there was work being done on the house, possibly without permits. They complained about roof, siding, deck, air conditioning. At the time, I noticed that there was a substantial, what appeared to be a deck and some other work done to the property. I checked in the system and there were no permits pulled for the address. So on January 28th, the notice of violation was mailed. The green cards from the property owner and the registered agent were returned signed. At that time, February 25th, we granted a 6-week extension per their request, and then we extended it for another 30 days on March 31st. On May 11th of 2020, conducted a reinspection. Basically, it was just a check to see if any permits had been done since the work was already completed. And at that time, there were no permits had been applied for. On around that same date, I had checked and there hadn't been any. We contacted the building department and permit 20-1240 had been applied for. And so at that point in time, we pushed out a reinspection for about 3-4 months into September. And I conducted another reinspection September 11th of this year, and no inspections had been completed at the property, and the permit was still not approved. So it was still pending, if you will. On September 11th, the notice of hearing was mailed. A green card from the property owner was returned signed. And then on September 18th, I posted the property and signed the affidavit. And we conducted a final inspection on October 7th. And the after the fact permit was pulled, but there had been no inspections completed as of yet. And the building department reported that the permit was not approved as of yesterday. So right now, what I'll do is I'll put up the pictures. A couple of these are from Google Earth because needless to say, I didn't know about it until after the fact. So the first ones are going to be some Google Earth pictures. This is the mobile home. I don't have the date. This was January of 2019. So a year before the case started. And this is another view. This is going back.
I don't think they can see anything.
Oh, let me share the screen. Sorry. Ahead of myself. All right.
I labeled the pictures.
Here you go. So this was January 2019 of the property in question. So a year before the case started. And then the next picture, if I remember correctly, I think is actually a little farther back. Then we move forward, and let me flip the view real quick for you guys because Adobe is not pleasant to work with sometimes. This is what it looks like now. Oops, a little bit of change. This was all added and siding was cleaned up and stuff. This was the biggest issue that I could see. And then there's one more picture kind of just showing that front view. So this is what it currently looks like. Back up a little bit. I'm rotating it. Hang on to that. That's what it was before. And then there's the after of the completed work. So what's before the board right now, and I'll make sure I have all the right city codes. City Code 6-1, which allows us to, we adopted the 2018 International Property Maintenance Code and the Florida Building Code. And then violation of Florida Building Code 105.1, which requires a building permit for any work. And unless somebody wants to look at the pictures again, I'm going to stop sharing the screen.
Okay.
Does the board have any questions of the city staff? Michael, do you have any, this will be just a question time. You'll get a chance to present your case. Do you have any questions for Officer Gasson?
No, ma'am.
I had one question for you. Is this your residence?
No.
It's a rental property?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead and you can present your case.
My partner is taking care of all the permits, and we were very close to getting the final permit, but it kept getting kicked back for the ramp. Was the wrong angle, and the codes for, or the numbers for the roof material, so on and so on. It was all little details. My partner who's taking care of the permit, he's a ship engineer, and he's on a 3-month tour right now. He won't be back to the end of October. And we're really close. We spent over $3,000 between the survey, the engineering, the prints, have to hire a licensed contractor because it's titled under a company name, so on and so on. We're diligently working on the building permits for what we need. We have no dispute about that, and we are going to get it. But I'd like an 8-week extension if they'd be possible, just for the fact that with all this COVID that is struck, and everything being done online and email, it's no longer a simple walk into the building department and get a building permit anymore. It's been a struggle, but we are working on it, and the repairs that we need to make the deck up to code will only take us about a week to do. Like I say, my partner will be back. He's the one that's in touch with with the architect, the engineer, and he's handling all of it. He's pretty much the guy that's the go-to guy for getting this permit done. He'll be back. He's in the Suez Canal right now. He should be back October 31st, and then through email back and forth when he can. As far as I know, we're really close to getting our permit. It was just a couple more details. The ramp has to be removed and steps installed because the ramp was encroaching on the setback. And that, I believe he took care of that before he left. So it's just a matter of picking up the prints and bringing back to the building department and getting once we have permit, then, a permit's good for 6 months, but it's not going to take us 6 months to do the repairs. It should only take us a week or so to add the header and remove the ramp and a few other things. But anyway, it's in the works, and we don't dispute the violation. We got caught. It is what it is, and we're going to bring it up to code and get our necessary permits. And we're just really close. But like I say, my partner won't be back to the end of the month, and then it should only be a few more weeks after that. I'm hoping that we can get this issue resolved and make you guys happy and getting our permit, which is what you're telling us that we need. But if we could get an 8-week extension, that would be terrific.
Board, do you have any questions for this owner? City staff, any questions for the owner?
We have no questions. Thank you.
Would you like to summarize your case?
I think I've covered it. Thank you.
Michael, do you want to summarize? We've got the gist of what you were saying.
We're going to do our best to make you happy, and we just need a little more time to get our permit finalized. And I apologize for the delay, but with the COVID and my partner on a 3-month tour in the middle of it, it's been a struggle, but we're working on it, and we're going to take care of it.
Board, I'm ready to hear a motion.
I move based on the testimony and some facts presented in law that at the time of the alleged violations, Section City Code 6-1 and FBC 105.1 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect, and the respondent was in violation thereof.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion from the board? Hearing none, Michelle, would you call roll, please?
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Buckley,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer, and Chair Wade.
Yes. Mr. Gasson, any additional input?
No, I think the violator advised 8 weeks. The city would agree with an 8-week timeframe to come into compliance. And as far as the
Alrighty.
fine goes, I'll leave it up to the board. They have no priors.
Alrighty. The public portion of the case is now closed. I'm ready to hear a motion for part 2, please.
I move that the respondent shall have until December the 8th to bring the property into compliance with code sections 6-1 and FBC 105.1, or suffer a fine of $25 a day for each day thereafter that the respondent remains in violation of said codes.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Michelle, call roll, please.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer, and Chair Wade.
Yes. Item number 4 has been deferred. We'll skip down. Item number 5 has been deferred, which puts us to number 6.
6 has also been deferred, as well as 7.
Oh, making our life easier today. We'll skip down to number 8. Excuse me for a minute. Item 20-80000486, 1661 Sea Breeze Drive, Chris M. and Anne Marie J. Naughton. Is there anyone here for this agenda item? Please raise your hand.
We do have a raised hand. I'll allow them in.
Thank you. Please identify yourself.
I'm Anne Marie Naughton, the owner of the property.
Thank you. Our attorney will swear you in.
Ma'am, if you could raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any legal objection as to why the city's evidence should not be received?
No.
Thank you. Officer Gasson, would you present your case, please?
Certainly. Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department Code Enforcement. Case before the board is 20-800000486. This case is currently in compliance and is here just to be established. The address is 1661 Seabreeze Drive. The property owner, Chris and Anne Marie Naughton. It's for the board's information. There was never mind. There were no prior cases. Exhibit number 1 going before the board are my photographs. Exhibit number 2, notices to include notice of violation, notice of hearing. Administrative documents, case summary, property appraiser, and tax collectors are exhibit number 3. Exhibit number 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All the photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator, exact copies of what's being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. And all notice of violations and notice of hearings are sent return receipt as well as first class mail. And please accept all these exhibits into the record as evidence.
Please do so, Michelle.
So we have had contact via email with the owner. The original case started August 31st of 2020. We received a citizen complaint about an Airbnb listing for the property at 1661 Seabreeze. Looking up that link, we found that their calendar was showing a minimum of 7 nights, which is in violation of the ordinance, which requires a minimum stay of 42 days or 6 weeks. If you'd like, I can show you, I can bring up on the screen the listing showing where it says a minimum of 7 days. And that will be, everybody can see that right there is where the listing was showing a minimum of 7 days. This was on, I believe this was Airbnb's.
That's just showing.
Yeah, and this is just showing the property. Minimum stay sometimes is required for 6 weeks. This was a note that was put in the listing, although minimum stay is required to be 6 weeks, not sometimes. And the rest of it's just the property. And we attempted to make reservations for less than 6 weeks, which allowed us to do. So those are those photographs. I'll stop sharing this aspect of it and continue on unless anybody has any questions about any of them. So moving forward, conducted a reinspection on September 10th of 2020. The short-term advertisement still showed a 7-night minimum stay. On September 14th, the notice of hearing was mailed and no return mail was received. On September 18th of 2020, posted the property and signed the affidavit of posting. Conducted a reinspection September 29th of 2020, and the ad still showed a 7-day minimum stay. On October 20th, conducted a reinspection and confirmed at that point in time the website had been changed to a 42-night minimum. As stated, it's currently in compliance, but with the nature of these type of complaints, it's.
And it was the second case.
Yeah, and it was the second case we had on this one. We're asking for the board to establish them just because it should hopefully prevent any future violations for this. So the violation before the board to consider to be established is 25.02, which is the zoning restriction against tourist homes, which are defined as stays less than 6 weeks. And that's all the city has at this point.
Does the board have any questions for the city staff? Anne Marie, you get to ask a question and then you get to present your case. Do you have any questions for Officer Gasson?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Then now you get to present your side.
Okay. Thank you very much, Officer Gasson, for all the effort you put in, and you and the best be very patient with the communication with me. And thank you, board, for your time today for the consideration. We actually, I apologize first for not returning your the mail and also the communication in September, because I had an eye surgery in the beginning of September that actually took me about 3.5 weeks to recover. I just gained my vision back. So, and then also there is, we have tenant to live in the house who is on long-term lease. He has never contacted me or emailed me and let me know we have the hearing posted in front of the property. I'm very sorry about that. And also, I just got, came to my attention towards the end of September. That's when I try to connect, and contact Officer Gasson and his office in time. And right after that, with some help with my real estate agent and, my children who is, work from home right now, because my eyes still do not see very well right now. So they trying to update the listing. So so I just want to let you know that my husband and I purchased this home as our retirement home. So, but since we have not, both of us are still working at our jobs and we have not moved in yet. And we only use the house occasionally, let's say for holidays, and the family gatherings. But so for last couple of years, we decided to list the house for rent. Many websites, majority of them are MLS, Zillows, and also Realtor.com and RentPads, HotPads. These are the listings we always have and for the long-term listing. However, our real estate agent advised us a couple years back that if we post our listing on Airbnb, and we will attract leads and for seasonal renters, which is also really working well for our Florida, property. And we took their advice, and we listed on Airbnb for the seasonal rentals, short-term seasonal rentals for 2 and 3 months as well, instead of the rest of the listings for 1 year minimum. As you can see, the Exhibit A, I submitted some documentation from MLS, the multiple listing service. There's a show us we have, oh, that's the lease we have, right? So this is actually the long-term lease we had in fact effect since this March. And our tenant, David Curry, and his fiance has been living in this house since March till September 30th. They just moved out. As I mentioned, the date we were mailed, the notice was sent us to was August 31st, the first notice, and second was September 10th. Our tenant has not been communicated to us, but I was not able to receive the mail. And so, it took us about long time to notice the issue on the website and also to correct that. Right, this is the listing on MLS. As since the tenant moved out last Thursday, we relisted, the house on Realtor.com, Zillow. This is a multiple MLS listing for long-term lease only. And this is our main goal. As I said, mentioned earlier, we always wanted to lease the house out for 3 months to 6 months plus, and ideally it's for 1 year for the next, few years until we can actually retire. What I'm trying to say is, I apologize, for the listing, the days of the set on the website, and it was honest mistake because since early beginning of the year, after we renewed the listing on Airbnb, we have never really visited the website ever since because we have a long-term renter, David Curry family, and been living there since March. So the default setting for us is with to attract the leads, we have 7 days. In fact, the Curry family was referred to us via an Airbnb as well, but they are in fact interested in a 6 months plus lease. So we consequently had a long-term lease with them until September 30th. Again, I apologize. It was an honest mistake, and then due to my oversight, I did not, go back on the Airbnb listing and then to update the listing every year to change it to the 42 nights, which is the 6 weeks minimum. I also noticed that the description we listed earlier, so I also changed it to the 6 weeks minimum rental is required on the listing, the first page as well on Airbnb. So, and again, I really apologize for this, the time and the trouble, for all of us sitting here today, and to the trouble we go through to go over our listings. But in fact, is that our house has always, has the date we received the violation notice, and then consequently 10 days later, the notice of hearing is during the time my tenant is still living in my house, during on a long-term lease. And also the fact that we advertise it on Airbnb, it's just part of our majority listings on, the long-term rental, the MLS, Realtor.com, Zillow, but we do list on Airbnb for, to attract the seasonal renters. So in fact, like any time, we actually prefer 2 months plus 2 to 3 months, and then ideally 6 months to 1 year lease. So this is not going to, our goal is not going to change for the future. Again, I will make sure that we and my agent, once my eyes are recovered, I will have to, go to physically consider to either to set a default and everything for each year. I will revisit it again to make sure that we in compliance with the city code and for the minimum 6 weeks stay and a rental. And also, again, I apologize for, the trouble to bring to you, Officer Gasson, and to the board. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Does Officer Gasson, do you have any questions for her?
No, ma'am, I don't. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for her? The public portion of the case is now closed. Board, I'm ready to entertain a motion.
I move based on the evidence and facts presented with the law at the time of the alleged violation, section 25.02 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was in full force and effect. At the time of the notice of the violation, the respondent was in violation of said code. However, they are now in compliance.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ms. Manousis, would you call for vote, please?
Hellier,
Yes.
Ms. Northleaf,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer, and Chair Wade.
Yes. Do you want to summarize for them, Mr. Trask?
Yes, Ms. Stockton. As property owners of this property at 1661 Seabreeze Drive, you've been found to have been in violation of section 25.02 of the city code as of the time of the notice of violation. The property is now in compliance. There's no daily fine. However, should the property be found in violation again, it would be subject to repeat violation and subject to a fine of up to $500 per day. So it's important that you make sure that the property does not fall into violation again. If you don't understand what has happened today, please feel free to call the code enforcement officer after the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 9.
Thank you, board.
20-8000499 to be established, 816 Bayshore Drive, Joel D. or Celia S. Dubé. Is anyone here for that property? Please raise your hand.
We do have a raised hand.
Thank you. Please identify yourself for us and tell us your relationship to the property.
Hi, this is Joel Dubé. I'm the property owner.
Thank you. Mr. Trask is going to swear you in.
Mr. Dubé, if you could raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you have any legal objection, Mr. Dubé, as to why the city evidence should not be received?
No.
Thank you. Michelle, if you'll accept that into evidence. And Officer Gasson, if you'd like to present, please.
Thank you, Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department. The case before the board is 20-800000499. And it is to be established. It is currently in compliance. The address is 816 Bayshore Drive, owned by Joel D. and Cecilia S. Dubé. There were prior cases similar to this back in 2016 that I handled, and it was obviously brought into compliance. Exhibit number 1 before the board are photographs and screenshots related to this case. Exhibit number 2, all notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3 is administrative documents, case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All the photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator are exact copies of what's being presented to this board. All my notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. Notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent return receipt as well as first-class mail. And Madam Chair, please accept these exhibits into the record as evidence.
Thank you, Michelle. You'll do that.
The office has had contact with the owner both via email and phone calls. Originally, the case started August 31st of this year. It was a verified short-term rental via VRBO ad showing a minimum of a 3-night stay. I'll bring up some of these ads on the screen so you can see them as we go through them. This is the property itself. This is a picture from VRBO. As you can see up here, you're able to check in and check out on October 2nd and October 9th, which is less than 6 weeks. Again, just a Google map picture of the house. Another website which allowed us to book for a 7-night stay, less than the 6 weeks required. Here's another screenshot showing a minimum stay of 3 nights on a different website. So on August 31st, the notice of violation was mailed. No mail was returned from that NOV. On September 11th, reinspection was conducted, and obviously these reinspections that are conducted are basically just sitting at a computer and searching. VRBO advertisement was still allowing the short-term rental, and then at that point in time, we found additional Airbnb website with the minimum 3-night rental, which is kind of shown on the screen. On September 17th of 2020, the notice of hearing was mailed. There was no mail return. We still had screenshots showing less than 6 weeks or 42 days, both on Airbnb and VRBO. On September 18th, I posted the property and an affidavit of posting was signed. On September 21st, we saw that Airbnb was still allowing you to rent for less than 6 weeks. And then on September 25th, we were able to confirm that all short-term advertisements had been found. They were either removed or changed to a minimum stay of 42 nights. So it was brought into compliance. But as stated with the previous cases, we would like the board to establish this to prevent any future violations of City Ordinance 25.02, which is the zoning requirement for that zoned area to not allow tourist rentals. And at this point, that's all the city has.
Does the board have any questions for city staff? Joel, do you have any questions for him? You'll get a chance to present your case, but do you have a question for Officer Gasson?
I do not.
Thank you. Go ahead with your case.
Well, I mean, I didn't realize that advertisement. I mean, I know there's a rule against booking it for less than 42 days, but I had no idea you couldn't advertise it for less than that. What a lot of us are doing is we're advertising it for less just to get people to inquire about it. And then we try to upsell them to more days once they understand what the restrictions are. So once I didn't sorry, there's a bad echo. I don't, as soon as I got something in the mail, I responded to the very first thing that I got. I was surprised to hear that there were other things sent to me. The very first time I got something, I called over and I spoke to Beth and she walked me through it. And I resolved it as quickly as I could.
Does the board have any questions for the owner? Does the city staff have any questions for Joel?
I do not.
Would you like to summarize any further, Officer Gasson?
No, I think I've covered it. Basically, the interesting point he brought up is advertising it for less than 42 days just to draw somebody in. I mean, it seems, why would you advertise for less than 42 days if you're then going to say, well, you got to have it for 42 days. So, and I stated before, back in 2016, I had a conversation with them about the same issue of the short-term rental, and it was taken care of rather quickly. And that's the reason he has brought everything into compliance at this point, based on the advertisements. This is mainly just to prevent any future violations. So that's all we have at this point.
Understood. Do you wish to summarize any further, Joel?
No, thank you.
All righty. Public portion of the case is closed. Board, I'd like to hear a motion.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law that at the time of the alleged violation, section 25.02 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect. The respondent was in violation thereof.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, so I think we just talked about the respondent was in violation thereof, but we probably should have also added, however, they're now in compliance.
If that is needed, I will add, and they are now in compliance.
And I'll
Thank
second
you.
the add.
All righty. Michelle, if you'd like to give us a vote, please.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Mrs. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer, and Chair Wade.
Yes. Mr. Trask, would you like to summarize for the owner, please?
Yes, Mr. DeBay. Is you, as the owner of this property at 816 Bayshore Drive, have been found to have been in violation, excuse me, of section 25.02 of the city code. You now are in compliance. There's no daily fine. However, should the property be found to be in violation in the future, it will be deemed a repeat violation, and as such could be subject to fines up to $500 per day. If you don't understand what has happened today, please feel free to call the code enforcement office after the hearing.
Thank you. Next item is number 10, to be established 20-800000508 1309 Stone Creek Drive. Magnify RE borrower. Is anyone here for that property? Please raise your hand.
We do not have any raised hands.
Thank you. Officer Gasson, would you like to present the case? And if you have evidence, Michelle's going to mark it received.
Thank you. Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs, Code Enforcement, case 20-800000508. Property is in compliance currently, and it's here to be established by the board. Property address is 1309 Stone Creek Drive. We've had numerous prior cases out there within the last, since February 2019. Exhibit number 1 are all of my photographs. Exhibit 2, notices, violation notice of hearing. Administrative documents, case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records are exhibit number 3. And exhibit number 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All the notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County property appraiser and tax collector. All notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent return receipt as well as first class mail. We have had contact with the owner via phone call and emails. This particular case started September 3rd of this year. Property was overgrown. There was a large amount of furniture curbside. The fence was falling down and or missing some pickets. And there was debris and trash in the rear yard on the north side of the house. I'll bring up the pictures here real quick for you guys to look through. So this was some of the trash and debris looking through the missing pickets in the fence into the backyard. And this was the trash that was out front. Obviously, I think somebody vacated the unit and left all their stuff. Just another view of their stuff. And I don't know how well you can see it. This fence back over here, inside of it, the inside fence from the street, I could actually see it leaning over, and it was in kind of fairly poor condition. Those are the only pictures I have of the property at this time.
Thank you. Michelle will enter those.
Moving forward, we sent the notice of violation on September 3rd. We did get a green card returned by the property owner as well as the registered agent for the property or for the company. September 14th, I conducted a reinspection. The debris was still out front and there had been no repairs to the fence. On September 14th, that's when we also mailed the notice of hearing. I did get the green card back signed by the registered agent. September 18th, I posted the property and signed the affidavit of posting. I conducted reinspection on October 1st after a phone call stating that it was ready to be inspected, and it was in compliance on that date, which was after the deadline date of the first notice of violation that we sent. I did conduct another final inspection and just to make sure nothing new had shown up and everything was fine. The city would like the board to consider establishing violations of City Code 36.03, which is dealing with fences, walls, and hedges, requiring them to be maintained and kept in a good condition. City Code 8-22, the accumulation of trash. 8-40, the duty to maintain private property and prevent nuisances, and then 8-52, which are the nuisance prohibitions, mowing the yard, allowing debris, things like that. And at this point, that's all the city has.
I had a question on one. I heard you stating that the fence was still sort of dangerous, but on our paper, it shows it as complied. Do you wish it?
The one picture I was just showing the fence, I did an inspection and the fence hadn't been fixed. But then when I did the inspection in October, everything was in compliance. The fence had been repaired. So there are no open cases on this property as of yesterday.
Thank you. Anyone else have questions for Officer Gasson? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion. Hello.
I
move
move based
based
on
on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in law that at the time of the alleged violation, sections 36.03, 8-22, 8-40, 8-52 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect. The respondents were in violation thereof, and they have now complied.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Michelle?
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
yes.
Vice Chair Archer, and Chair Wade.
Yes. Item 11, repeat violator 20-800000502, 710 Bayshore Drive, Jeffrey Ainson and Erica Griffin. Is anyone here for that property?
Here.
Please raise your hand.
Please raise your hand. And we do not have any raised.
Thank you. Officer Gasson.
Thank you, Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department Code Enforcement. Case before the board is case 20-800000502. This is a repeat violator case, and the case that established it was case number 17-800000212, which is a violation of City Code 25.02. The address is 710 Bayshore Drive, owned by Jeffrey Anson and Erica Jensen Griffin. The prior, as I stated, there was a prior case for it. There was actually a couple of prior cases in 2018 and in 2017. And all of the exhibits going before the board are exhibit number 1. All of my notices of violation and notice of hearing are exhibit 2. Exhibit 3 is the administrative document, case summary, previous board order, and the property appraiser and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. And exhibit number 5 is an affidavit of prosecution costs. All the notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County property appraiser and tax collector. All notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent both return receipt as well as first class mail. Madam Chair, please accept all these records into evidence.
Thank you.
So we have had contact with the owner, both via phone calls and emails. September 1st of this year, we obtained a link for a short-term rental for an Airbnb. Let me show you the screenshots showing that it allowed a less than 6-week rental. Here we go. Okay, first one is just this is showing the property itself. And as we move down, this is get into here and even give you a discount for a 1-week stay of 25%. And then on September 1st, the same date, the repeat violator notice of hearing was mailed. We did receive no mail back. On September 8th, conducted a reinspection. The short-term rental was changed to a minimum of 42 days on September 8th. And then on September 18th, I posted the property. So the property was in violation from the date of the initial inspection of September 1st and was complied on September 4th. They had contacted our office and advised that everything was changed. We just weren't able to confirm that until September 8th. So it was basically in violation from September 1st to September 4th for violation of City Code 25.02, which is allowing your property for a period of less than 42 days. Also, I believe it's been submitted to the board. They did have an email that was sent. Yes. And I don't know if everybody's seen it, but this is the email they sent. If you want, I can leave it on the screen for you to read it if you haven't seen it, or I can take it off the screen. It's your choice.
Does anyone need to see that? We did receive that prior to this meeting.
All right, I'll go ahead and stop screen sharing.
Hold on, I think some people didn't read it.
Oops, I hit the button. And at this point, that's all the city has.
Does the board have any questions for Officer Gasson? Since this is a repeat violator, do you have any suggestions for?
I would say this is the first time they, as with most of these, they're attempting to, take a house that was in foreclosure and do something good with it. So I would think $25 a day is probably reasonable.
No, thank you. That's helpful. Anyone else from the board with a question?
And the dates in question are 9/1 to 9/4, correct, for the fine?
I think 9/8.
Yes, that's correct.
9/4 or 9/8?
September 1st to September 4th.
The public portion of the case is now closed. I'd like to entertain a motion from the board, please.
I move that based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law, that the respondent was in violation of City Code 25.02 and from the dates of 9/1 to 9/4 and at $25 a day be awarded. In addition, I move that the city be awarded the $77 in prosecuting costs.
Do you have a second? Thank you. Michelle?
Ms. Tellier?
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer? And Chair Wade?
Yes. Excuse me, page turning. Item 12, another repeat violator. This is item 20-8000311, 1700 Blue Lake Court. Pam Truax. Pam, are you here with us today? Please raise your hand.
We do not have any reason.
Thank you. Officer Gasson.
Thank you. Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department Code Enforcement. Case before the board is 20-8000311. The property address 1700 Blue Lake Court. Property owner is Pamela Truax. This is a repeat violator case stemming from case number 18-800000227, which was also a violation of City Code 8-40 public nuisances. There were previous fines. It was complied before the deadline, and they were $50 a day were assigned on the previous case, but that was all taken care of. Exhibit number 1 going before the board are all my photographs. Exhibit 2, notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Administrative documents, case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records, as well as the previous board order, are exhibit number 3. The affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign, exhibit number 4. And exhibit number 5 is the affidavit of prosecution costs. All the notices were mailed to the property owner of record based on the Pinellas County property appraiser and tax collector. All notice of violations and notice of hearings are sent return receipt as well as first class. And Madam Chair, please accept these into the record as evidence.
Thank you, Michelle.
We have had contact via phone with the property owner. This case started on September 3rd. The property is not being maintained, is causing a public nuisance due to unsanitary conditions inside. The property itself is a health hazard. The house needs to be cleaned out and sanitized. I'm going to share some pictures as I go through the rest of the case. So this was the inside of more or less the dining area of the house. And this was the living room / dining area of the house. This was looking right in the front door. This is what I was approached with when I went in. This area off to the left, actually the very far left, this room right here is where Pamela was. The date of these photographs, there was a police call out there for a welfare check, and Pamela was inside of this room. She was unable to stand up. We ended up transporting her to the hospital. The interesting thing was the smell was so atrocious in the house. I think I was the only one that actually went in the house, and the other police officers would go in. And the firefighters went in as well to get her out. And at last knowledge, I know she went to the hospital, and I had heard she was attempting to sell the property, but that's all I have. I have not been at the property to do a reinspection. We haven't been contacted from one as of yet. So moving forward, the notice of violation and the repeat violator notice of hearing were mailed on September 4th. Posted the property on September 18th. On September 25th was the date of the scheduled reinspection, and we have not been contacted. And at that point in time, we sent the notice of hearing as well. September 25th, the notice of hearing was mailed for the new violations because 8-40 was the repeat violator, but there were 3 additional new violations added. October 2nd, the exhibits were mailed to the property owner since she stated that she was still in rehab. So the property has been in violation of City Code 8-40 since September 3rd, and it is not in compliance as of this date. Additionally, with 8-40 is a violation of City Code 6-1, which allows us to adopt the 2018 version of the International Property Maintenance Code, which is then a separate violation of International Property Maintenance Code 305.1, which requires the general interior of a house or a property to be maintained in a sanitary condition. I think you can derive from the photographs, and trust me, from the smell, it was not anywhere near a sanitary condition. And then also 8-22, which was the accumulation of trash. That's pretty self-evident in the photographs. At this point in time, the city has no further information other than, as I stated, it's in a repeat violator status from September 3rd of this year and is still.
Does anyone have questions for Officer Gasson? Officer Gasson, I'm getting it mixed up with another prior case. Did a man who was either the spouse of or the ex-spouse present before with this property? No.
This is, she's never been to a code board.
Okay, thank you.
She's never been to code board.
Well, she physically has not come to code board. Her case has been to code board before.
Yes, I understood what you meant. Thank you. Unfortunate. No one else has a question? Let's see if we could I think we'll break it down into two separate motions. We'll do the one where we're establishing new violations separate from the repeat. We can hear it that way, please. Ward?
Okay, let's try this. I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law that at the time of the alleged violations, sections City Code 6-1, violation of City Code 8-22, in violation of 305.1 of the Court of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs were in force and effect, and the respondent was in violation thereof.
Second.
Okay.
Michelle?
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yeah.
Vice Chair Archer, and Chair Wade.
Yes. And since that motion is passed, we'll follow with a second motion for those same three items, if anyone would like to move that.
Oof.
Suggestions, Officer Gasson?
Yeah, that's
Well, time-wise, are we talking the repeat violator, or we're talking the new? Yeah.
We're doing the new ones first.
I would probably say, I mean, this is pretty significant. I mean, anything more than 30 days, I think, is stretching it. And the prior was 50. I know that I'm talking the repeat violator, so I would say at this point, at least 100 a day.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Ms. Tellier, you want to finish your second motion?
I'll give it a shot. I move the respondent shall have until November 9th to bring the property into the compliance with City Code sections 6-1, 8-22, 305.1, or suffer a fine of $50. What did you say, Officer Gasson? It was already 50?
Yes.
Correct.
All right, so we're gonna go $100 a day. For each day thereafter, the respondent will remain in violation of said code.
Do I hear second?
Second.
Thank you. Michelle?
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yeah.
Vice
Yes.
Chair Archer, and Chair Wade.
Yes. Now we'll handle the second part of Ms. Truax's case. This is the repeat violation phase.
Okay.
And it would be not in compliance yet.
Okay, I move that based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law, that the respondent was in violation of City Code 8-40 of the City of Tarpon Springs City Code from the initial date, which was 9/3, until present, right? Officer Gasson, present, still not in compliance.
That's correct. It's not in compliance.
Until compliance. And impose a fine of $100 per day until being in compliance is met. In addition, I move that the city be awarded the $72.50 in prosecution costs.
Second.
Michelle?
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Robinson, yes, okay. Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer, and Chair Wade.
Yes, thank you. Item 13, another repeat violator, unfortunately. This is item 20-8000523, 1150 South Pinellas Avenue, Tarpon Springs Retirement, James Metnopoulos. James, if you're with us, would you please raise your hand and you'll be allowed in?
We do have a raised hand this time.
Thank you. James, Mr. Trask is going to swear you in.
Not showing Mr. Metropolis. Is he joined in?
Tom, it's Bill Kempton, attorney.
Okay, Mr. Kempton, is your client going to testify tonight?
No.
Okay, it's just going to be you then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Mr. Kempton is a officer of the court. He is a local attorney. He does not need to be sworn in.
Thank you. Do you have any, it's Mr. Kifton, is that the name?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any objection to the city presenting the evidence?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Thank you. Officer Gasson and Michelle, please mark them received into evidence.
I don't know what they are yet.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Are we good?
Did
Okay.
I mess up something?
No, I just heard somebody say something in the middle and just want to make sure I didn't cut them off. This Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department, Code Enforcement. The case before the board is 20-8000523. It is a repeat violator case. There was a couple of prior repeat violators. The first one was case number 16-8000056 for violation of City Code 8-22852 and 12-1. Also, repeat violator from case 19-8000050, violations 822, 840, and 852. The property is addressed as 1150 South Pinellas Avenue, although it is a vacant lot, which would be on the southwest corner of Pinellas and Mears. Its parcel number is 13271500003100100. There has been priors out there, obviously. The property is owned by Tarpon Springs Retirement, care of James Metopoulos. I probably spelled that or pronounced that last name wrong. Exhibit number 1 going before the board are all of the photographs. Exhibit number 2 are the notice of violations and notice of hearing. Administrative documents, case summary, previous board orders, and property appraiser and tax collector records are exhibit number 3. Exhibit number 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. Exhibit 5 is an affidavit of prosecution costs. All the photographs and exhibits were given to the violator, exact copies of what's being presented to the board. All the notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County property appraiser and tax collector. And all the notice of violations and notice of hearings are sent return receipt as well as first class mail. We have had contact with the owner both via or representatives, both via phone call and email. This case started September 9th of 2020. There was trash and debris on the property related to a homeless camp. On September 9th, the repeat violator notice of hearing was mailed. The green cards were returned signed from the property owner and the registered agent. September 18th, we posted the property and an affidavit of posting was signed. I conducted a reinspection on October 7th after walking the property with a representative of the company that's cleaning up the property and put it into compliance. It was in violation from the initial inspection of September 9th until October 7th of this year. And I'm going to put some pictures up on the board and kind of give you guys an idea what the property looked like. This is a picture of one of the homeless camps that was on the property. Now, the owner has taken some steps, and this has been an ongoing issue because of the nature of the property, that the homeless set up camp and then they leave just an absolute enormous amount of trash. We've told the property owner in the past it's his responsibility to make sure this isn't occurring, and unfortunately it keeps occurring. We did get trespass authorization, and even as recently as this week we did trespass a couple of people from this property. So we're trying, but the police department is not going to continually monitor a rather large vacant lot. That is the responsibility of the property owner, and hence the reason why it was established and made a repeat violator because of the ongoing problems. Another photograph from September 9th showing the amount of trash and debris related to those camps. Here's some more.
Terrible.
And then let me switch to the view because of course the thing goes sideways on me. There we go. Oh, and of course it went the other way. Sorry about this. I can't help Adobe. These were taking on October 5th, and we had contacted the gentleman that was doing the cleanup. Had gone and walked around the property and still found trash and debris out there, as you can see in the photographs from October 5th. That were remnants. This is all, we spent about 45 minutes out there walking it, and it seems that one, there's no homeless camps, and two, they did do a pretty decent job cleaning the property up. So at this point, as I stated, they were brought into compliance as of October 7th when we went and walked the property the last time. It's an ongoing issue. It's a pretty significant issue. I do know that the property owner is, and maybe the attorney can add some more details about it. They're currently negotiating with our attorney on settlements on both those prior cases. But unfortunately now this case has come up in the meantime. And again, it's an ongoing issue that needs to be managed by the property owner. I know he's got some exigent or some extenuating circumstances, but at the end of the day, you know, we got to prevent this from occurring. So at this point, that's all the city has.
And could you confirm that it's the northwest corner of the intersection of Pinellas and Mears, or the southwest corner?
It is the southwest corner. It is, so it's directly west of the Winn-Dixie and east of Green Dolphin on the south
by
side.
Green Dolphin, not by the hardware
in
store.
between Green Dolphin, their tennis courts, and alternate 19, and south of Mears, south side.
Yes, thank you. I thought it was the property north of Mears. Thank you. Anybody else have questions for Officer Gasson on the board? Mr. Kifton, you will have a chance to present your case, but do you have a question for the officer?
No, I think the report is accurate.
Okay, thank you. Now you get to present your case.
Okay, some time ago, I think about 15 months ago, somebody asked me to get involved with Mr. Metropolis. There's an R in there. To help him.
I did want to correctly spell your client's name, especially when we're doing a legal document. Would you spell his name, please?
I'll do my best. Metropoulos.
Do that again. We had a glitch.
Metropoulos.
Metropoulos.
Poulos. I'm glad I'm not under oath because I can't swear.
And Mr. Kipton, this is Officer Gasson. Just so you know, the misspelling is actually on the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's site. So you may want to get with your client, have them fix that.
The property appraiser site might be right.
Well, if I can add something, the Sunbiz Corporation, it's spelled Metropolis without the U. So there's a couple different spellings out there.
I took my best shot.
And you have Metropolis or Metnopolis?
I have Metropolis.
Yeah, there's definitely an R in it.
Okay. His utilities are under Metropolis as well.
Thank you. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Please go ahead.
Okay. So as I got into this, I discovered that this is a closely held corporation, and it's been paying taxes in Tarpon, I think, since in the county since about 1995. Back in the early years there, Mr. Metropolis was a apparently successful developer, and he had continuously planned to develop this as an adult living facility area, and I think that was his business. And as he aged up, he has not been able to pursue development of the property. And when I came on board, I found out that there were lots of problems in that the two elderly gentlemen had hired an accountant to be the registered agent, and she's off in some other city, and I'm not even sure what state it's in, but it's not Florida. And for some reason, she became unresponsive. I had tried to communicate with her, And I found that the other shareholder, Mr. Kavadas, lives in Greece, and we tried to communicate with him, and we could not figure out how to open a channel of communication with him. And now Mr. Kavada, I think it's Kavada, I'm not sure, but anyway, he is now passed on. There is a law firm in Clearwater that has told me that they're going to be responsible for the estate work in Florida for him. And I've been talking to them for about 8 months, and some kind of difficulty with the estate work in Greece and opening an ancillary estate in Florida. So throughout the last, can't tell you how many years, the problems with all of this is falling on Mr. Metropolis, and Mr. Metropolis is now 87. And the issue started to arise, I think, in 2016. And at that time, there was some homeless people who had gotten on the site, and Mr. Metropolis's health problems became bad as he had lymphoma in his nasal system. And he had tried to be responsive to the problem at that time, but had to return home and had some pretty dramatic surgery where a substantial portion, he says half of his nose was removed. And they, performed other things, chemo, and he maybe had some radiation. And ever since then, he's been trying to deal with this. And in the 15, 16 months that I have been working with him, sometimes I talk to him and he's totally lucid and he's a really good businessman. And other times he cannot be coherent. So I really can't even understand what he's trying to say. And he's in and out of the hospital continuously. So my understanding is, including the current situation, is he has always ultimately, to the best of his ability, figured out somehow to get someone to address the cleanup. And each time it's been cleaned up, I saw the picture where maybe it's not perfect, but I think it's substantial. But anyway, each time it's a different company. He's tried to get people to follow up and check on the property, and they check for a while and then they drift off and don't do it anymore. The continuing issue is, and I'm not complaining about this, but there's a lot of charitable people in Tarpon that feed the homeless, and so they're attracted to the community. And several of them, or many of them, try to figure out a place to live that doesn't cost them anything, and so they find this property on several occasions. And I think from some of the earlier cases I was watching here, they find other properties as well. So what's happened is Mr. Metropolis has tried to keep up with us. I don't think he understood the concept that he was a repeat offender. He's old school, and he really doesn't get the concept that he's doing something bad, other than that maybe he's not addressing the cleanup as efficiently as he would if he was the younger developer type that he had been back in the 90s. So anyway, yes, I would like to try to get this all boiled down to some small number that he can afford to pay and clear it off. And I also would agree to try to help him manage this, because what needs to happen is this property needs to be sold and the estate needs to be paid off. All of the bills have fallen on Mr. Metropolis because the other person was not available and has now passed away. But this is a piece of property that needs to be sold. The market would receive it well if we can get it to market, but he can't do it by himself because it's a closely held corporation and takes the missing shareholder to agree to anything that's going to happen. So I guess I'm begging for some indulgence here. Other than that, appreciate your service and being on this committee. And if there are any other questions I can answer, I'd be happy to answer.
Whoa. Does the staff have any questions for Mr. Kipton?
I don't
We
know what
do
a closely held corporation means.
Pardon me, ma'am?
Repeat.
I don't know what a closely held corporation means.
Means is there's like either, a very small number of shareholders, and usually it takes unanimous vote of all of them to do anything.
Thank you.
And when one of them is dead,
This is a deadlocked corporation. Mr. Metropolis, he's president, but he can't do anything because any sale of the property or anything dramatic like of that nature, financing, sale, etc., requires unanimous consent of both shareholders.
it's hard to get from a dead guy.
Well, we're working on that.
And it seems like just from what's being said that this could take a very long time to resolve.
Well, the other law firm has told me that they think they're very close. I've been following them for 8 months, but now they tell me they're very close. And I know them well, and I don't think they would tell me that unless they believed it. They have some of the paperwork. I don't know. I guess things are complicated in Greece. I don't really know anything about estates in Greece. But in any event, they've told me it's close, and they're going to keep me informed. And in the meantime, I can help Mr. Metropolis try to make sure he's not a repeat violator again.
Okay. I guess the public portion is now closed. Before we even entertain a motion, could we get some input from either Mr. Trask or Mr. Gaston? When they've already got $10,000, $15,000 owed on this, we just don't know what to do.
Worry about it.
So you need to treat it like you treat any other case where there's a repeat violation based upon the facts. You need to decide, first of all, whether it is a repeat violator, and if so, how long was it in repeat violation, and assess a daily fine of up to $500 per day. And the other cases have no relevance as to what you're doing here today. It was just some background information that Officer Gasson was providing.
Thank you very much. Board, do I hear a motion? I think we're on motion for repeat violation with fine in compliance.
In compliance? Didn't he say it was not in compliance?
I think he said as of 10/7 it was adequately done. 9/9 to 10/7.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. I move that based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law, that the respondent was in violation of sections City Code 8-22, 8-40, and 8-52 from the date of the initial inspection, which was 9/9 until 10/7. And a fine of $100 a day for those days that are in violation. In addition, I move that the city be awarded the prosecution costs of $69.50.
I'll second that.
Michelle?
Ms. Tellier?
I should ask
Yes.
if there's any discussion first. Hearing none, continue, Michelle, I'm sorry.
Ms. Tellier?
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer? And Chair Wade?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you want to summarize for him, Mr. Treff?
Yes, Mr. Kimpton, your client has been found in repeat violation of code sections 8-22, 8-40, and 8-52 from September 9th until October the 7th, has assessed a $100 per day fine, has also awarded the city its prosecution cost of $69.50. That will be reduced to writing. An order will be prepared and signed. It will be presented to your client at the address listed at the property appraiser's records. That will be done within about the next 10 days. If you have questions after the meeting, Mr. Kimpton, feel free to call me or Officer Gasson, and we can provide additional input.
Thank you for the opportunity to be heard.
Thank you for presenting it clearly. Thank you. If we can, everybody can hang in there. We just have a little bit more to go. Please let me know if you need me to stop first. We've got our 2 hours in. Everybody's good? Okay. Affidavits of non-compliance. Item number 14. We all remember this case, 20-8000008, 626 Eunice Drive, Ken Sobel. Go ahead. Is Mr. Sobel, are you there or representative for you? Please raise your hand.
We do have a raised hand.
Mr. Sobel?
He's muted.
6.
We need to swear you in. Would you?
Sir, if you could state your name, please.
Ken Sobel.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Swear
Okay.
the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Hang on just a moment. The city's going to present.
Thank you. Officer Gasson?
It's an affidavit of non-compliance.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
I think the next one might be ring. Say what it says.
Do you have an Officer
Yeah, this is
Gasson?
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha, I ran. Yeah.
I'm getting a little feedback. Officer Gasson, is there anything else to present?
No, it's an affidavit of non-compliance for case 20-800000008 at 626 Eunice Drive. The violations of City Code 822, 840, 852, 6-1, 303.1 of the International Property Maintenance Code, 303.2 of the same code, 304.1 of the same code, 304.10, 304.12, 304.6, 305.1, and 308.1, also of the International Property Maintenance Code, as well as affidavit of prosecution costs for 156.50. He was not in compliance of any of those as of the board order date of September 2nd of 2020. That's all I have at this point.
I gotta look for the city building.
Right here.
Mr. Sobel, do you have any questions for the officer?
No. Okay.
Do you have a case to present?
Since I don't have the, yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Since I don't have the money to make the repairs, I've sold the house to a realty company who's going to do the repairs and then sell the house.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions of the owner?
When did the sale happen, Mr. Sobel?
I'm sorry?
When did the sale of the house happen? And when will the closing be of that?
The closing hasn't been set yet because it's waiting for when my bankruptcy finalizes. So it should be in November, sometime next month.
Thank you, Mr. Sobel.
Do you have a signed purchase order for this property?
It's not a purchase order, but I have a signed contract agreement.
Officer Gasson, do you have any questions for him?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Do you want to summarize anything for us?
I have nothing to add, ma'am.
Mr. Sobel, anything else?
No.
Public portion of the case is closed. I entertain a motion.
Okay. I move, based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law, that the respondent failed to timely comply with the board's prior order within the time prescribed and award the city $156.50 for the costs incurred in prosecuting this case.
I second.
Michelle?
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer, Chair Wade.
Yes. Will you summarize for him, please, Mr. Trask?
Yes, Mr. Sobel, the property is still in non-compliance. The board has found it to be non-compliance. The daily fine has begun. The code enforcement board also awarded the city its costs in prosecuting the case in the amount of $156.50. This will be reduced to order. It'll be done within the next 10 days or so. It'll be sent to the address listed by the property appraiser, which I believe is 626 Eunice Drive here in Tarpon Springs. If you have any questions as to what has occurred, please feel free to contact code enforcement after the meeting.
Thank you.
I have a question. Has a fine already begun from an earlier decision? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's correct.
We have seen it before, yeah.
Okay.
Item number 15, which I'm happy to say is the last item on our agenda. Affidavits of compliance, 19-8000146, 1739 Meadow Oak Lane, 2018-3 IH Borrower LP. Can I have a motion to accept that affidavit of compliance?
I move we accept the affidavit of compliance in case number 19-800000146.
And is there a second?
Second.
Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have some minutes from a prior meeting to approve. I had two picky things that I didn't want to be a legal issue later. The word page 3 and page 4, it says a blank fine a day for each day the violation continued. Well, there were multiple violations, so I think we should have an S on violation. And the same for page 4, I think the word violation should have an S on it. Just in case they come back and say, well, which violation? We mean all of them.
So noted.
Thank you.
I move that we accept the minutes as corrected.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak? Please raise your hand. Board or staff, if any of you wish to speak, please do so now. I think Ms. Manusa.
Oh, sorry, Michelle, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I had two items. I have a notice of hearing for an item that wasn't on the agenda but was in the packet.
Which one?
20-8000317.
What was the address, Michelle?
503 Hibiscus.
Oh, it came into compliance after they got their packet.
Sorry, it came into compliance after they got their packet, so we took it off of the hearing list.
Okay. And then my other item, I sent an email out earlier today to Chair Wade, Mr. Weeks, and Ms. Norfleet. Your first term expires November 1st. So if you could just respond to the email to let me know if you are eligible for another term on the board. And if you would like to be considered, I can present that to the Board of Commissioners at an upcoming meeting. So that's all I had.
I have, the reason why the camera's on Beth is for the most part, she's kind of been behind the scenes. As of October 1st, I've stepped down from being the code enforcement officer for the city. And Beth is now going to be the code enforcement officer for the city. So she gets to drive around. I've been tasked with some other things that need to be done. I'll still be helping out probably for an extended period of time, but probably next month, she's going to be handling some of the cases and I'll be finishing up some of mine, and then slowly that'll wane off. I'll still be involved, like I said, it's just going to be in a significantly different capacity. So I just wanted to let you guys all know that. And now the camera's going to be on that person there moving forward. Actually, it'll be live, so you'll probably talk to her in person. So
thank you for your years of service, Officer Gasson.
Very welcome.
Please continue to support us. Beth, are you a police officer?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You got your black and blue on. Looks like the flag.
No, I was certified through the Florida Association of Code Enforcement just as a civilian.
Thank you. Okay, well, congratulations to you.
Congratulations, Beth.
Thank you. Only because of Officer Gasson.
Thank you, Officer Gasson.
You're very welcome.
Has a question.
Oh, Tom, I see a raised hand.
Madam Chair, I've got one other thing I just wanted to talk to when we're done with Steve.
I'm all done. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Steve. Obviously, we all think you have been doing a great job. We appreciate the work that you've been doing. I just wanted to remind the board that the governor has extended the virtual meeting capabilities through the end of this month. In a memorandum that was attached to that executive order, he's basically put municipalities on notice that that will probably won't have an extension after October 31st. So please plan on being in attendance physically at City Hall for the next meeting, unless you hear differently from Michelle or Irene or Bobby, whoever is going to be providing the notice, maybe even Beth or Steve. But at this point, please be prepared to be physically present.
And masked?
Absolutely. The masks, we would ask that you wear them. I'm not sure of the social distancing that's going to occur in the building, but yes, masks and probably be social distance as well. So which may mean that some of you will be on the dais and some of you may be off in the wings. Staff and myself, the clerk and so forth may be off into the audience a little bit, but that's the way I foresee it happening next month. But as we know a little bit more, we'll let you know.
Thank you very much. That's great information that we really needed.
Okay.
Anybody else? Seeing that there's no other board business on the agenda, I adjourn the meeting, and thank you again, Officer Gasson.
Thank you, Officer Gasson.
Thank you, Officer Gasson.
You're welcome. Good luck.